I want the hedge fund guys to pay more tax.
The president promised to fix this, remember?
Everybody getting rich off the rich system and wants nothing.
Carried interest. Go ahead.
It doesn't address this carried interest loophole one single bit.
Carried interest tax exemption is one of the greatest frauds on the middle class ever.
Carried interest loophole is basically the ability of financial investors to pay taxes on their income at a much lower rate. You're going to take it out? Sure. It's gone.
Those private equity fat cats get away with paying investment taxes instead of income taxes, and that is just wrong.
What specific tax provisions will you change to ensure the wealthiest Americans pay their fair share in taxes?
Well, one thing I do is get rid of carried interest. One of the greatest provisions for people like me, to be honest with you.
Carried interest provision. This is a loophole that President Trump promised again and again and again to close.
We will eliminate the carried interest deduction.
The carried interest loophole is still there in this bill.
This is one of the things that they screwed up. I'll be honest with you, Trish. They screwed it up. The average American, a plumber, is typically paying 36% or so of their income in taxes. The average hedge fund manager is basically paying only 23% of their income in taxes.
I would change it to paying nothing, and it's ridiculous.
Taxing carried interest at the capital gains rate is an egregious loophole that only benefits wealthy fund managers.
It's intellectually dishonest, it's economically dishonest, and it's morally wrong.
I cannot accept the fact that the Steve Schwarzmans of the world making $400+ million a year get taxed less than, say, a New York City cop.
Do you want to tax carried interest in the same way as ordinary income tax? I would take carried interest out, and I would let people that are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year pay some tax, because right now they're paying very little tax, and I think it's outrageous.
This populist push was to screw rich people and to give money back to the middle class.
I want to save the middle class.
He's not really doing that. Carried interest means money you earn as a fee for investing somebody else's money, not for investing your own money.
They are allowed to take a percentage of the profits they make in their fund as personal revenue.
It's criminal. It really is for these guys to be calling their income investment when it was never their money to begin with.
You're calling carried interest a capital gain when it has nothing to do with capital gain. It's a management fee earned by a handful of women and men who want to pay a much lesser rate of tax. And so they tricked Congress into calling it a capital gain.
They're paper pushers. They make a fortune. They pay no tax.
It tells me that there are some powerful lobbyists out there.
There's no reason for this except that this group has the power to lobby hard for tax rules that benefit them.
It's a loophole that our politicians tell us they're going to close.
We have, as an example, getting rid of carried interest, which is the darling of Wall Street.
But they never seem to get around to it, because they never talk to regular people who actually work for a living. The people that talk to them are the highly paid people who make large donations and show up at their fundraisers.
People need money for campaigns, they need money for their staffs, they need money to live a nice life, and the people in private equity have lots and lots of money and they can give it to them.
The underlying argument is that they're being compensated for additional risk. The fact is, the way that people structure businesses, there's not a ton of risk that is involved.
I simply ask the question, why is it that what I do, investing money for a living, is so much more valuable to our society than what everybody else does, providing their labor as goods to produce goods and services that other people want?
This could have been easily fixed and saved us, I don't care if it was just $1, but some estimate as much as $180 billion.
The American public just simply don't understand. There's not enough people talking about it. And the lobbyists got in there and they did their work. They fought for their constituents, and that's the rich, the very rich, the uber rich.
There's no greater leverage in the world than giving money to political candidates.
It constantly amazes me that people don't understand that they are crafted for the wealthy, crafted really and truly for the super wealthy.
Very, very large campaign contributions, and that's frankly, unfortunately, what works in Washington.
It's sad. I mean, it's really sad. It makes you wonder at some point, are we becoming ungovernable because you've got so many special interests at work?
They're giving millions and millions of dollars to these congressional reelects for them to look the other way.
I mean, this is what Americans rebelled against.
It's ridiculous, okay? The hedge fund guys are getting away with murder.
Carried interest, we can talk about that for the next hour if you'd like. But for most Americans, they could care less about that.
It's a complicated issue. It's not that much money.
No, it's not that much money. I mean, who cares about $100 billion? Maybe Steven Mnuchin doesn't care about $100 billion or his billionaire friends, but come on.
Most people have no idea what carried interest is.
I know.
The idea that people don't understand it, therefore we can do it, that's just a disgraceful excuse.
The hedge fund guys didn't build this country. These are guys that shift paper around and they get lucky.
I'll tell you one thing, our founding fathers never ever anticipated a swamp like the one we have today.
People who earn carried interest paying lower tax than everyone else is just a scam.
The hedge fund people make a lot of money, they pay very little tax.
These guys are making, on a low estimate, multiple billions a year off this loophole. There are some estimates, however, that put it closer to 180 billion over 10 years.
I found it very refreshing on the campaign trail when he kept saying he wanted to close this carried interest loophole.
It's coming.